All right, so we're out here checking out the Mokwheel Obsidian step through, or ST if you want to get fancy with it. But I made a full review video on this bike earlier, and it was an awesome bike. I was super happy with this thing. Not the typical style of bike that I really ride, but I like the fact that these bikes exist, man. It's just a super comfortable fat tire mountain bike, and it's a good bike to pedal. But I got about 30 miles on this thing now, and I wanted to give you guys an update on how it's been and just show you guys how everything's going with it. So like I said, I did make an unboxing and review of this, but just to give you guys a quick rundown on the specs, you got 26 by 4-inch fat tires on the front and rear of this thing. You got Tektro hydraulic disc brakes on the front and rear, which stop this thing really, really good. You got front shocks, which are adjustable, and then you've got a shock in the rear here, which is really nice to have on a step-through bike, and you can do a few adjustments on here on the dampening and everything. It is a D&M air shock, super high quality, and it feels amazing, especially on this off-road stuff that I'll show you guys here in a second. Comes with a front headlight, does not come with a rear taillight that's built in. They do include this one in the box. So you have an adjustable seat with a dropper post, and then you can adjust it with that lever right there. It's super cool to see the dropper post on this. This is a 1300 watt peak hub motor, so really, really powerful off the line. You got your hydraulic brake levers here, nice Mokwheel grips. You got a really nice, easy to read color display here, and it does come with this thumb throttle here on the left, and then you have your Shimano 8-speed shifter here on the right. And one of the really awesome things about this bike is the fact that it comes with this port right here, which you can plug into an inverter. And I talked about that in the other video, but the inverter is going to allow you to run actual like household sockets. So you can run like your toaster or something off of your e-bike, and you can charge your laptop, you can charge bigger things, because it all runs off of this 48 volt 20 amp hour battery that's built into the frame right here that you can take out with a key. And since you do have that inverter port there, you can also run this thing off of a solar panel. You can charge the battery up off of a solar panel, which is useful if you're in a remote location like a campsite or something. So Mokwheel is really innovating with this e-bike. I think it's a really awesome setup, and this is really cool if you're looking to go a little bit off-road and get a little bit rugged on this thing. But let's go ahead and ride this thing. I'll give you guys an update and talk a little bit about how the experience has been with this bike. Okay, so we got our speedometer open on the display here, because I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that screen that's built in. Speedometer was pretty accurate from what I remember of my other review on this bike. But now we're on this off-road stuff. We're going through a little bit of mud and everything there, and this bike really does well on rugged terrain. It's definitely no dirt bike, but it can handle this light off-road grass and stuff. And since you got those big 26-inch wheels, you can run over bigger obstacles like bigger potholes in the ground and bigger sticks and stuff like that. And this suspension just handles bumps really, really nice. This air shock on the rear, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't experienced an air shock, you absolutely have to experience an air shock and get one for your bike. It's absolutely worth the upgrade if you need a bike that's more comfortable. Tektro brakes on here are holding up really nice. No crazy squeaks or rattles or anything. You know, this is a relatively expensive bike for around 2,200 bucks, so you want to have good build quality, you want to have good components and everything on this. And this bike definitely feels high quality. You know, there's no crazy rattles and squeaks and stuff on here. So it does have a headlight on here if you do plan on riding this thing at night, and I haven't really ridden it in total darkness, but it should be pretty good for what it is. It's not going to be the best, but you can always upgrade that if you want. So we are dealing with 5 pedal assist levels here, and one of the unique things about this bike is that it's a torque and a cadence sensor. It's a hybrid, so it's going to choose which is best for whatever the situation you're in. So if you're looking to pedal a bike and you're looking for something that you can pedal, then this is going to be a good option for you, because it's really, really comfortable to pedal. See that we'll knock it down to pedal assist 3 right here, just so that we're getting a little bit of power down. And it feels really comfortable, it feels really natural. So it's a very comfortable bike to pedal, and if you want to raise that seat up and really get some power down and lower the pedal assist number, then you can do that. Now, since this is an e-bike, it is pretty heavy. You know, you're not going to be going on some crazy trails like a mountain bike or something. But, you know, if you just want something for the road and to do some light off-roading, this is going to be awesome. Especially if you want to get some exercise, you can put some real power down on this, because the pedaling experience is nice. Me personally, I like to use the throttle on these bikes. If you go out, you take a ride, and then you get tired, you always have that throttle to, you know, fall back on. So the battery life on this bike is actually really good, since it's got a 20 amp hour battery. If you are pedaling this thing, I wouldn't be surprised if you got 40, 50 miles out of this, seriously. But with the way that I ride, mostly throttle, I'm getting about 25, 30 miles out of this bike. So not bad range at all, definitely plenty enough to go out, have some fun adventures, ride around with your kids, ride around with your family, your wife, whatever. So the display on this bike is really nice. It's something that a lot of manufacturers mess up, even though it is something simple. You know, you got your trip and odometer, you've got your pedal assist number, you've got your speed. Like, you really don't need much in a good screen. It would be nice to see your voltage, but that's okay. You also do have 8 Shimano Shimano gears on here, so that's nice. And again, it shows that this is more of a pedal bike than it is a throttle bike. But the shifter, I don't know if you guys can see this, it's like this double finger setup here, so it's really quick to change through the gears on here. I like that. Tektro hydraulic brakes are awesome on this bike. They feel really good. They're very strong. And so for a 26-inch wheel like this, it's a big wheel, so these brakes are gonna be under some stress. So you definitely want some good hydraulic brakes when you're on a big bike like this and you're going speeds of, 25, 30 miles an hour. The top speed on this bike was about 30 miles an hour from what I got, and that's a really good top speed for this. Out of the box, I think it did come as a Class 3 e-bike, so 20 miles an hour on throttle only, and then 28 miles an hour when you're pedaling it, but I unlocked it so that I could do 30 on throttle. The stock seat that comes on this bike is decently comfortable. It's a little bit firm, and for really long rides, if you're just sitting down, it's gonna be a little bit firm for you, but that's one gripe that I did have with this, is that this is a pretty expensive bike, and I think that it should come with a more cushioned seat. You do have these mountain bike style handlebars here. They are pretty wide, so if you're gonna be on trails and stuff, you gotta be careful of that. We'll do a little bit of a top speed test here again. We're on a bit of a downhill right now. We're hitting about 31. GPS is saying about 30, so not bad. I'm perfectly happy with that speed on this bike. And plus this thing looks like a regular bike, so hopefully the police aren't gonna be giving you too much of a hard time on this thing. That's the nice thing about these bikes, is that they don't draw too much attention. A lot of the moped style bikes I check out on here, they draw a lot of attention because they look like you're driving a motorcycle. I really love these gel grips on here too. This is the first time I've seen them on a bike, but it fits perfectly in the palm of your hand here. So when you're putting your hands on the handlebars like this, it just fits perfect and it makes it feel really natural and comfortable. You're hitting this big bump with that D&M air shock, you just don't feel it, man. This D&M air shock is awesome to have because it just absorbs the bump so good, and you can adjust it with a shock pump to whatever you want, so you can customize it to you. If you just have a coil, you can't really adjust that, but with an air shock, you can adjust it to however you want. Let's go ahead and take this thing up this hill right here and see how it does. Again, I tested this in the full review, but this is a nice, powerful e-bike. We're running out of steam here at the top of the hill, but perfectly fine, man. Power on this bike is one of its strong points for sure. That kickstand does rattle around a little bit on the back there, but I'm sure you could fix that. It's not broken or anything, it's just how it is. I just went over some grass that was wet, and it's like spraying up in my face now off the wheel, so you might want to put the fenders on this thing if you're gonna go off-roading. I was too lazy to put the fenders on this, and plus I like the way it looks without fenders too, but practically, if you are going to be riding this thing off-road, you're definitely going to want to put your fenders on here that they do include with the bike. Now, there are no turn signals on this bike, which for $2,200 is definitely a little bit disappointing, because I've had bikes that are like a third of the cost of this thing and they come with turn signals. So if you're going to be riding on the road, it's going to be a little bit less safe because, you're not gonna be able to indicate to people. I guess you could use hand signals like a nerd. This thing handles pretty good for a 26-inch bike. I ride a lot of smaller 20-inch moped style bikes, which handle way better than this. So I've been on this bike before and taken turns a little bit too fast on this thing and almost got myself into some trouble, but you do have to get used to, this thing feels like you're riding around in a tank, like a big SUV or something. The frame is aluminum though, so it is a relatively lightweight bike. It's just a kind of a massive bike, with these 26-inch wheels, big frame. Really eases you onto the power. Like when I was crossing the street right there, I wish I would have had a little bit more power off the line, but it did get me going eventually, and I think you can adjust that in the settings menu too, so if you want to take off the line a little bit quicker, you can. Mokwheel sent me the step-through frame version of this bike, but they also do have a regular Obsidian where it's like a mid-step frame, and I like the color options that they offer you on that one. You can get black and yellow on that one, and that one looks really cool. That's probably the one I would have chose, but I really like this red and black on the ST version. I also do have a camo version of this for another $100, which always looks cool, a camo e-bike. But that step-through is nice, especially if you're older, you have mobility issues and you can't really throw your leg over the high step version. So overall, I'm really happy with the Obsidian. I think it's got a lot of cool features, and the fact that you can hook up that power inverter and everything makes it a great bike if you want to take this thing off the beaten path, camping, into somewhere remote, so that you can still have some access to your stuff. You can plug stuff in, and you can also charge it up through that inverter port too with their solar panel kit. It's just nice to see innovation like that in the e-bike space. This bike is a little bit expensive, but I think that it feels worth the price. It's got high quality parts on here. Everything feels really solid. It's got really strong power. The brakes are amazing on this bike. Super, super good brakes. Suspension is like riding on a cloud. Air shocks are always going to be really nice, and this front shock is also really soft and plush too. Overall, if you're just looking for a big, like SUV-like bike, then this is gonna be a really good option for you. Like I said, $21.99, so it is a little bit more on the expensive side. We do have other bikes too, like the Basalt, which doesn't have rear suspension, but it is a little bit cheaper. I really think you gotta get the full suspension on this because that's just the way to go, man, especially if you're gonna be riding this thing off-road a little bit. But overall, man, I'm loving the Obsidian ST. This is an awesome bike, and if you wanna check out my full review, I've got a full review video on this thing. But overall, I'm super happy with this. We've got about 36 miles on this now. Held up really well, no weird squeaks or rattles really, besides that kickstand that was moving around back there. Feels super sturdy, feels super well built, awesome brakes. Just wish they would have included a built-in rear taillight. That's one of my gripes with this bike, but everything else really is awesome on this thing. If you do want to check this bike out, I will have the best price in the link in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. And if you do buy through those links, it does help out the channel a little bit, which is always appreciated. Keeps me showing you guys these cool bikes and helping you make a decision on which bike you want to pick up. With that being said, guys, that's all I have for you today. This is the Mokwheel Obsidian step-through version. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you over in the next video.